Testing one, two, three. Testing one, two, three. You have now tuned in to the OG Wisdom Podcast with me, your brother Tad, and our brother C Gutter. C Gutter, where you at? Right, we got a little echo right there, but we working out the kinks real quick. Peace to the family. Peace to the family. It's your brother Tad and OG Wisdom Podcast. Today we got our brother joining us from across the pond. It's a good brother, known him for a couple of years now. Good brother Suraj Odekunle, straight out of the UK. He's gonna come by. He's gonna stop in, talk a little about hip hop growing up in the UK, and his documentary and the works he's been doing in his community over in England, and his plan to come over here to the US, share some of that knowledge and information. So without further ado, everybody, I introduce y'all to my brother and yours, brother Suraj Ola Odekunle. Brother Suraj, what's the word? What's the word? How you feeling, brother?
Yeah, I'm feeling great, my brother.
Good.
Blacktastic. Can you hear me? Is everything
Yes.
clear?
Give me 1 second. Hold on 1 second, brother Suraj. Let me take care of something back here. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Had to mute the IG real quick. It's a little delay, Brother Gutter, what's the word?
All right. Peace. How y'all doing?
We Gucci.
Peace, brother. How you?
Yeah, I'm well, man. It's great to see you again, C Gutter, man. You know, I see how you brothers from New York do it. You guys looking fresh, man. No homo, man. You looking fresh, man. Yeah, man.
No doubt, no doubt. Now, I'm sorry, brothers. You know what's crazy, right, brother O? Do you want to use Ola or Siraj?
Any man, they're all part of my that's all part of my makeup, man. You know, people will know me with Suraj, Ola. You know, we do this like the Wu-Tang Clan, man.
Yeah, right.
You know, we have different names, man.
Question.
All the same name. It's
Question.
still-
Where does the Siraj come from?
So Suraj is Arabic. My father, you know, my father used to be a Muslim.
Oh, okay.
And I come, you know, my father's side of the family are Muslims, so Suraj was given to me at birth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
So
I was just trying to find out, like where the name, like what people the name come from.
Yeah. And it means, the meaning for it is the king. That's one meaning, and another meaning is the ray of light, the sun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I was gonna say real quick, brother Siraj, is you complimented me and Gutter on our appearance. You know, with me, you ain't gotta say no homo. One thing I think is missing in the community is our ability to salute brothers without everything having to be sexualized. You know, in this society, it's almost like, particularly us as black men, we can't compliment each other without it being gay connotation. Now, if a brother taking care of himself, he look good, get that brother his props, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Don't make you gay. What make you gay is trying to get down with the brother. That's where we start crossing the line.
Yeah,
but I always show brothers love.
Like, I love all my brothers. I don't want to have sex with none of them.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? It's a difference. It's a difference between love and,
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah, salute to our sister Farnessa on the check-in. Always appreciate her love and support. Yeah, so brother Siraj, last time we had a conversation, we weren't able to air it because, I was just learning how to use StreamYard and all them things. So it didn't come out the way we wanted. So here's part 2, but I guess for the audience, it's part 1. Tell the people who you are, some of the works you've done, and what you're working on now.
Okay, so my name is Suraj Oluboyega Tokunbo Odekunle. I know it's a mouthful. Those are my 4 names. You know, I'm originally Nigerian. My mom came to England pregnant with myself, and she joined her other siblings over here, and we used to live like in a two bedroom council estate, where it was me, my mom's younger brother, my uncle, my mom's sister, and my auntie's children. So there's 6 of us. We all grew up. This was like at the beginning of the 80s, and
quick question. What ethnic background?
yeah, Nigerian. So we're Nigerian.
No, I mean what tribe?
Oh, Yoruba. Yeah, we Yoruba. Yeah, sorry, we Yoruba. So yeah, we grew up, in the 80s. Obviously, during that time, so we grew up in South London. We grew up in an area called Brixton, which is quite known overseas. Brixton was, it was definitely the hood, and there was a lot of political issues. There was a lot of racism. There was I think we had like the riots as well during that time. Brixton riots. There was a lot going on there.
A lot of skinheads in the 80s.
Yeah. There's a group over here called the National Front. So over here they used to, had the racism, and this is interesting because over here, when it came to brothers and sisters who are African who came across the pond, it was predominantly Nigerian and Jamaican, and they didn't always see eye to eye. Although historically, they're the same people. You understand what I'm saying?
They're gonna clash. It's the same. It's the same thing over here. Us in the Caribbeans, us in United States, American, African, and Africans from the continent. No matter where they come from, whether they Spanish, it's always going to be, because we've all been enculturated into viewing each other as other because they're not Europeans.
Yeah, absolutely. And
we quick to take on the Europeanness of where we live at, as opposed to the cultural
different.
Cultural how can I put it? The cultural similarities that all of us have.
Right.
Bro, everybody eat black eyed peas. Everybody eats some type of greens. The food, the music, everything is so similar. That's why we all get caught up in each other's music and culture.
Yeah.
It's just a reconnecting of people. But we always had those clashes because we thinking of it from a European perspective.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think what brought us together is a few things brought us together, but I think mainly when we had to deal with those issues with National Front, that's where we stuck together.
And seeing the similarities as opposed to the differences.
Absolutely. And obviously during my time, I was a youngster back then, because I'm in my 40s now, so I was a youngster back then, and even during that time, I went through racism growing up in the 80s. I had to. It's interesting because a lot of West. This is something I'm going to be discussing on my presentation, because I got a documentary about this, and also there's a film out there which is it tells a similar story. There's a film called Farming. I don't know if anyone's heard of that on a call. Farming. Very emotional, brilliant movie. It gives an insight of Nigerians who came over here in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Who used to give their children up to the white carers and stuff like that. And a lot of these Nigerian children lost their identity growing up with these white carers and stuff, and started getting caught up with National Front, or even getting attacked. I was one of them, which I didn't join them because that wasn't my, even back then I didn't join them. But I used to get into, fights with white boys. I used to, because I was physically, I couldn't be outmatched by them. So I used to beat the crap out. Yeah, I used to beat the crap out of them. So that, that was a thing I had to deal with, because I was placed in the foster care system. I was there for 5.5 years, and my mum put me there, and I went through identity crisis there. It wasn't. I might have enjoyed the times growing up watching Thundercats and whatever was going on, and obviously that time, a lot of the white carers, this was a hustle for them, but it links back to the ties with slavery. It's a hustle for them.
They get money.
Yeah, they get money from it, but we lose our identity. But for me, I still had that kind of. There was a part of me which still had that identity, because I still wear Pumas. had the Nike tracksuit back then. You know, I grew up listening to like all the different like, you know, whether it's Luther Vandross, Shanita, Paula Abdul, and Nat King Cole. I grew up on all of the music, you know. So and I used to do a sport. So I was a sprinter. I used to do athletics.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Track and stuff like that. That was my thing back then. And the main issue was the identity crisis, because then it started confusing my head. Like, what am I doing with, you know, with these white kids? I was even starting to think I was white, you know. Yeah, it was crazy, you know, until my dad came, you know. I think my dad was able to secure his citizenship in the mid-'80s and stuff like that, and he said, "Fuck that, I'm taking you out of here," you know.
Right.
I
had to come get you.
Yeah, I came out of there, and then
that just shows the importance of the male figures as adults. That shows the importance that we actually have to be around and be involved. And I'm glad I'm seeing the younger generation. They always involved with their kids, bro.
Yeah,
even though they be fucked up in the head.
Yeah.
Honestly, like a lot of,
bro, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Dudes be fucked, but they care about their children.
Yeah.
As opposed, not saying that our parents didn't care, but it's a hands-on thing where, you know, our parents would like be in the background more. You know what I'm saying? Right. Now they being more proactive in dealing with them. They having the love from their kids at an early age, so their kid can, you know, mature better. Even though they got some, they do have some fucked up social skills and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just the love they show their kids, I love that, bro.
Yes, and it was needed. So it was definitely a journey. I was still although I went through a lot of trauma, because I was sexually abused in care as well. I went through a lot of trauma. I was like, you know, like I had like these white people calling me like nigger or blackie or all of these different things, and you know, I had to deal with that. Also, I had a strict father who was like physically abusive as well. So it you know, growing up, and also when I moved back to London, because I grew up in a place called Brighton, which was the south of England. It was like a suburbs, where that's where a lot of the white folks were, you know, during that time. But when I moved back to London, I moved back to South London, and you know, the area I grew up with was predominantly black and Indian, black, Indian, and Asian. So I had to kind of adapt to that again. And I think, you know, I felt when I kind of came back to that, I kind of felt like I was in my rightful place, because although I there were some times I did enjoy it in that period, I knew that I wasn't meant to be there. I started to gradually know I wasn't meant to be there, because I had that void. You know, I had to reconnect with my roots, my culture, my spirituality. I had to reconnect with that, because that was the identity crisis. What separated me? It kept me separated emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. It kept me separated. So I had to come back. I had to even adapt, because where I grew up was the streets, you know, back then, and because that part of London heavily was influenced by New York, it was like you had to be on the P's and Q's, man, because there were certain gang ties and stuff like that. You really had to stay afloat. You know, you had to know how to fight, or have at least a sibling or some sort of protection. You know, so that's another thing I can get into.
That's kind of one thing I noticed about like black Londoners. Y'all motherfuckers work out. like you know, here we work out, but it's usually a dude is usually an athlete or something like that. I mean, the street dudes over there work out.
Wow.
Like a few times that we've been over there, bro, the street dudes and niggas is cut up. It look like they've been in jail.
Wow.
They haven't been in jail. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So because it's not like here. It's like where guns are prevalent everywhere. You know what I'm saying? I'm quite sure they got guns, but dudes had to go with their hands.
Hands, yeah.
Knives or dudes getting stabbed, beat with bats, shit like that. So this is that's old school for us.
Right.
Ways of combat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I seen some of them big ass, Nigerian dudes in Brixton.
Yeah.
Brixton, you know what I mean? I mean, big, swole, and ready to fuck you up.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So it's because you got to think about it. It's the same thing as here, but less guns.
Yeah, less guns because we weren't able to have.
We pressed in. They pressed in the same situations as us in these enclaves where it's only them and the like with us, Asian, Latinos. You know what I'm saying? With them, it's mainly African, Arabs, and Asians.
Absolutely, same thing. Yeah, same thing. So yeah, it was obviously I was a bit younger then, but obviously the trauma I experienced, it was almost like I had to have a release. So I kind of grew up listening to like the records my dad had, like Lionel Richie and Inner City, Bobby Brown, all of those different Stevie Wonder, all of the different artists, and I was kind of I think we had, because obviously some Nigerians are known to do fraud and stuff like that. So we had like a family friend which she was like the first one with the box. I think it had like a cable TV and stuff. So we used to chill at her house, and that's when I started to kind of see hip hop. So back then I was watching like Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff and Public Enemy and stuff, thinking, wow, man, what's all this? And because I was a creative person, because I was good at art in school and creative writing, so I was trying to express myself. I didn't even know anyone was rapping like that. So I was just like, yeah, writing some rhymes down, just not knowing what I was doing. And I used to listen to Sounds of Blackness, Optimistic. That's what got me through a lot of my issues and stuff like that. I was going through a lot of trauma because even during that time, I used to get ill. I used to have fevers when I was younger, when I was in foster care and stuff like that. I used to get really sick. And, I went to obviously private Catholic school when I was in foster care. So coming back to South London, into the Brixton area, I had to like adapt. I had to adapt.
Real quick, brother Suraj. How old were you when your father came to get you?
I must have been like 6, 7.
Oh, so you were still a little boy.
Yeah, I was 2 when I went in.
Okay, so you weren't a teenager yet.
Nah. Wasn't a teenager yet. I wasn't a teenager yet. But I think obviously due to that time and it, because obviously when you're growing up environment where you're around white folks, and you see these white girls and stuff like that, you kind of adapt to your surroundings. Obviously, when I saw a sister, my eyes used to light up like a glow worm, man. And then, shit, man, I had to. It took time to shake that monkey off my back. I think it went until I got into my mid-teens when, and it wasn't like I never went for the sisters or anything like that. I was just young and I didn't know anything better. So when I got to like 15, yeah, I just kind of. It's almost like I had that ancestral calling. And people, like those people you speak to me that they kind of saw things within me, which they're not surprised I went down this road being African-centered because of my backstory. Because people used to call me like a philosopher of the neighborhood. Like people said I was ahead of my time because I used to speak with elders. I just had a lot of wisdom. I know I used to watch stuff. It was from a third eye because I used to watch like things like A-Team, MacGyver, Terminator and stuff like that. So I was like in tune. I was in tune.
Let me ask you. So when you were younger, before you really got into girls, by 6 or 7, you were already mistreated because because we can't say.
Yeah, because I was sexually abused around that time as well. Around 5, 6.
All right. So by the time you went through puberty and stuff, you had an attraction for white girls?
So when because that's what I was seeing. So it was just
and of course TV reinforces that because you're living in the house with those folks, and then
all you're gonna see is white TV.
Society.
Exactly.
Back then that's all we saw.
And it wasn't that I wasn't into my you know, the sisters. I just wasn't around them.
You
Right.
don't know about them.
That's what
That's the same thing when you catch the brothers from like Middle America. They might be in the town where they
Iowa or something.
Yeah, they might be in the town where it's three black families, and he the only dude. All he know is white girls.
Yeah.
And
So
then people be confused as to why that's what he got enculturated into that system, and he doesn't know, and he doesn't have enough black families, because 9 times out of 10 when you have black families like that, the parents are enculturated already.
Yes. See, that's
that's why they find value in being amongst them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We got a lot. We got a lot of us that has a problem with that. They can't wait to get away from niggas.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's why when I went to school, when I went to high school, not even a high school, but before I moved back to South London, there was a school I went to which was predominantly black. I was finding my feet, but you know, I was fitting in slowly because we had the mutual things in common. We had music and just our cultural upbringings and stuff like that. So it's great to see people around you. That's why I felt like I belonged more. So, you know, it's interesting when I went through the transition, because when I got into hip hop and I started writing and stuff, that was how I expressed myself. And I had this thing in common with my other brothers and sisters. And obviously a lot of us were Nigerian, or from either Nigeria, Ghana, or Jamaica or whatever. And, you know, we related to many things and stuff like that. So when I got into high school, yeah, when I got into high school, I think when I got to the age of, when I turned 15 and stuff, I had to put all of that behind me. I even stopped speaking to the foster carers as well. And when I stopped speaking to the foster carers, because when I moved out from when I was 6, 7, I still went back to visit them. But when you start being reconnected with those ancestral voices, it's like they're telling you, look, you're in your rightful home. That's not home. You know, that's a situation you was placed in. So, you know, it started slowly becoming pro-black. You know, this is even before even me being African-centered, and I used to just write, you know, my rhymes and stuff. And I was hanging out with my own people. It felt good, you know, because I felt like I belonged. Yeah, felt good, and it was easy to relate. So when I stopped seeing the foster carers at 15, I stopped having the fevers. Fever stopped. I stopped. So I wasn't ill again until I reached 30. I never went to the hospital until
let me ask you, when you were SA'd, was that by the foster parent? Was it the adults? Was it the children in the house, or people visited? Like, who abused you in that home?
It was the foster carer's grandchildren. It was one of the children he was older than me a bit. So yeah, I was sexually abused, and it was definitely something which I couldn't understand, and it was something what really it made me feel uncomfortable, and it was something which I felt was disgusting, you know, because my mind went wide like that.
Right.
You know, my mind wasn't wired like that. So it wasn't easy. That's why it's difficult for men to speak on sexual abuse today, due to them having to question their own sexuality, you know. And I didn't, just like you said, C-Gut, I don't like men. I didn't like males like that. You know, I was on women, I was on the sisters. So,
and you a child, so you don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You defenseless.
Yeah, so I don't know, man, but I really appreciated that I didn't sway. I really appreciated it didn't sway, because when I moved back to London,
that happened to a lot of brothers and sisters.
Yeah, they did. And growing up in London, that's why people used to call me the philosopher of the neighborhood. Because when I grew up in London, I grew up with brothers in London. When I turned 7, I grew up with brothers I seen either do life in prison, they got killed, they got admitted to a mental institution, they got a Becky pregnant, or you know, they turned they was a homosexual, and I dodged every bullet. I just felt that, you know, our ancestors had a greater plan for me, and that's what I saw growing up. You know, people fold, you know, and I went through a lot. And it's not to say and it doesn't make me better than anyone, but I went through a number of different situations because I physically abused by my father, emotionally abused by my mother. I had to deal with the streets, fighting brothers in the streets. I went through so much trauma, you know, the sexual abuse. Even at one time when I was quiet and they used to pick on me and stuff like that, because I didn't like getting into fights because I foresaw things, you know, and there was situations where I almost killed people, and I had like my cousins and people from the hood were almost kill people just because they were cool with me. You know, it was more of a protection thing because they thought, nah, we got to keep him safe because he's important, you know. So and you don't always like people trying to defend you, but when you needed that support. But I did get into a lot of fights, you know. I remember even the 28s, which was a notorious gang in the 80s. And I remember there was a situation I got into it with a sister. You know, I was a couple situation got into a sister, and I remember her dad was one of the 28s, and the dad wanted to meet me, so I kind of called one of my guys, but I came to meet him, you know, because I just came to meet him because I was just me, you know, and I was real to him. I kept it real. I said, look, this is a thing. This is how your daughter moved. This is why I did this, and he really respected me being honest and stuff like that. And we shook hands, and there was no drama after that, you know.
But see, that's how it normally is when you catch like old school street dudes.
Yeah, because I was young to him, man.
They already know. Number one, they know their children. Once you explain it, yeah, that's hard.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? It's like he can't be mad at you for his child's fault.
Yeah, because it's not like I just took something of hers and weren't giving it back because of the attitude and stuff. It wasn't where I put my hand on the young sister and stuff like that or anything like that. You know,
yeah, it's usually words or something like that. It's like, nah, now you know, dude put hands on somebody's child. It's no, you know,
ain't nothing to talk about.
Talking. It ain't too much talking. You put hands on my child. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you of age.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, if you're too young, then your pops, uncle, somebody like that is gonna have to pay the price.
Yeah.
yeah. So that's how it was over here. And I think I was always myself. I never ever tried to put on a front, you know. I was just an expressive brother, you know. I more got into the whole hip hop culture and stuff like that. So the dress style was the same, man. I had like I remember one time I had a Johnny Blaze hoodie, I had like the Avrex coat, you know, in a hood, just standing like I was a king in the hood, because I really appreciated where I lived, because it represented, it was all about my upbringing, so it painted a story for me. So I used to write rhymes, and that's why I was so heavily influenced from New York hip hop. So I was a big fan of Nas, Wu-Tang. Back then, we was a fan of AZ and stuff like that. We used to go to the CD shop just to get AZ CDs and stuff like that, man, because we used to relate to those.
I ain't hear you mention Biggie though.
Yeah, you know what? Biggie had to grow on me. I'll be honest. No, actually, you know what? I did like Biggie. But then when I started to know more about Tupac and stuff like that, but to be honest, I was born to Big L. I like Biggie because I was about lyrical. You understand? Because I was how I was rapping. So yeah, but I did listen to Junior Mafia. I did listen to Junior. I'm not saying this because C Gutter was on a call. Because you know, we used to be into Lil Caesar Mace. So yeah, and Lil Kim. So we used to listen.
For some reason, but see, that's their age range. You got to think about it, Tad.
Right, yeah.
He's of an age where C's and Mace was
his age range, right?
Because he was a teenager. He was a teenager then, right?
Yeah. So yeah,
he a teenager.
We were adults. Yeah,
we were adults. So you know,
yeah. By the time Big came out, we was in our 20s.
They going with what the kids around their age
I listen. Yeah.
Yeah, he looking, he's like, oh, they're around my age. I want to listen to what they talking about. That's just like us. Remember special ed?
Right.
Yeah, but that's
we
the
made,
thing.
sure, we made sure we got on the special ed because special ed was our age. He was a
Yeah,
little.
but you see the thing you said that, see, Gutter. I had some people, and this is like family friends to my father. Now they were my age group, but a few of them were like maybe, I think one's like Tad's age now. And they had the cassette tape. So they showed me Rakim and Cool G Rap early. So I was on like, but not early to me, but maybe obviously it would be late for you guys. So it was like not until like 98 or something when I was put onto Rakim and Cool G Rap, and I was like,
yeah, that's very late, brother.
yeah. But I was like,
he was on to them in 88.
You got to understand his age range.
That's
just dude. When he said late, I thought he meant like 2 years later.
No.
He said 98, Gutter.
You got to remember his age range. How old you now, brother?
Yeah, I'm 42.
He only 42.
Yeah.
So in the 90s, he's a little older than Quan, bro.
Right.
Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? So he's around that age. So they more in the Mace, Low C, because they young. That's just like the dudes younger than them got in the Bow Wow, and Master P, little son.
Yeah,
all the
brother Suraj like that Bow Wow.
The kids under you,
right?
Like the kids that was teenagers when they came out. That's why everybody was in the Bow, because they was kids, bro. They can relate to him. The kids can't relate to a dude talking about taking spots and shit like that.
But unless
having shootouts, unless they already know about shit like that.
Yeah, right. And they were still making music around that time, because Cool G Rap was still making music, because they're still making music. So that's why. Yeah. So I used to listen to KRS-One as well. So I respected those artists, because remember earlier on the call. When I said because when Public Enemy first, when Fight of Power first came out, that's when I knew about Public Enemy, because I was a child. I was watching my auntie had they had the music box and was watching it, and I was thinking, shit, who's that? And Public Enemy, I knew a bit earlier. I was into a bit earlier and stuff like that. So afterwards, when I started to learn about Tribe Called Quest,
Public Enemy had those videos that like, that's one group I could say in our time, Tad, that they videos like hit.
Yeah.
And they came over here as well a lot. They came over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They was big all over Europe.
Yeah.
That was crazy, because I went out there when they did the Fight the Power video, because they started right on Fulton and Utica.
They was on Bedford.
Yeah.
We missed it. They missed it. No, but they was on Bedford too.
Which part? Because what they did,
they had the block party. They did the block party
on Lexington, right?
Yeah.
Right around the corner from where they shot the movie. They did the block party on Lexington between Stuyvesant and Malcolm X.
Yeah.
Because that's where they walked up. They probably did another video on Bedford, because I know that one they started at the high.
On Bedford
and walked up.
It was something else. You know what I'm thinking about, bro?
What's that?
Miseducation, Sonny Carson.
Yep.
When they was marching. I'm thinking about the marching with the
right. Because I was like,
taking a video from a movie.
Yeah. Right. The miseducation of Sonny. And you know what's funny? You say that, right, Gutter? Because Suraj's story kind of puts me in that mindset. Because you ever seen that movie, Suraj? The Miseducation of Sonny Carson?
No, I haven't.
Well, Sonny Carson is a black activist here in America. Like he's very big. Wu-Tang, Ghostface in the movie. You know who his son is? The dude from X-Clan. Yeah, Professor X.
Yeah, the dude from X-Clan, Vainglorious.
Yeah, that's Sonny Carson's son.
The other day. Yeah, man.
His story reminds me of that movie, of a coming to Asia movie, because like you said, you didn't give in to what has happened to you. You didn't let that define you. Because unfortunately, in our community, these negative things that are put in place to destroy us, it's either going to make us or break us. You know what I'm saying? Like Gutter has a story. I have a story. We're hearing your story. Malcolm has a story. There's so many stories. Our sister K Fighter went to see the Marcus Garvey movie over the weekend, so I can't wait till she tell me all about that.
I didn't know that. I didn't know you had a movie.
And I was watching something yesterday, right, on YouTube. I just typed it in for some reason. I used to live in the oldest black town in America, Mound Bayou, Mississippi.
That's the old, wow. Ain't it crazy the things we learn as we get older?
Yeah, like I already knew it was an all black town in Mississippi. Like we had a water tower that said Chocolate City.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, this is in the 70s. Like, remember, I moved down there, what, 74?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I knew it was an all, but I didn't know the significance until you start, you know, researching shit. Like the other, like damn near every town I lived in, Cleveland, Tunica, and Clarksdale, and Mound Bayou. All of them have some historical significance.
Wow, that's dope. So, Brother Suraj, the Man in the Mirror project, that's your first project?
So the Man in the Mirror project was basically it was an initiative from having the idea of coming out with a documentary titled The Man in the Mirror. That's what I did. I put a documentary together because in 2011 there was a brother called Mark Duggan who was killed over here. And it was right. It was like that. It was like right act. It was crazy, man. It was like it kind of had a ripple effect all across England, where there were youngsters, people of different ages, and police coming out. It was like a war zone. If you was outside in these particular areas, you had to. There was a lot of looting going on, so it was like a domino effect, and I was going through some other issues then, you know. Although I was senior in my age, I was still going through some other issues. And then I felt I had something was telling me to get into speaking with these youth about what's really going on. So I ended up getting into working in schools and stuff like that, and trying to just turn a different route, because when I was young, I think when I was in my 20s, just for a few years after I left the hip hop open mic scene, I was still going through the trauma. And what's crazy is I created like a fictional character because I wanted to get in a whole modeling situation. Because I used to do entertainment shows and stuff like that, and we did like modeling. There was a modeling situation at the show, and I thought, you know what, I want, and we got these sisters to do the catwalks and stuff, and I said, yo. I spoke to one of my guys. I've got something. Let's do this thing with the models, because we knew that was popping around then. So I must have created something called Chocolicious Works, which I call myself the Black Willy Wonka of the UK. So when I was going through that trauma and wearing that mask, I basically dressed up in like a top hat, brown.
Have you done pictures?
Like I was a pimp. Yeah, people's calling me the pimp because we wanted to capture the audience. So this was a phase I went through for a couple of years. You know, we used to go to certain venues with like one girl on each shoulder, just to create this fantasy and stuff like that. You know, for like people if they want to hire the girls for music videos or magazine editorials.
You ain't done no Diddy parties, did you?
Nah. That wasn't no way. So I did that. I did that for a couple of years, and I think there was a time I was in one of the clubs, and I was just looking around me. I had a moment of silence, seeing brothers popping champagne, because this is stuff I used to do when I was younger, even younger than that. So there's popping champagne and all this stuff, and I was thinking to myself, what the hell am I doing there? This is not me. This is not me.
Right.
Stuff. So I think what happened was I was in contact with one of the models, one of the sisters who were modeling, who was doing the models, urban glamour models, and she reached out to me and said, yeah, we kept in contact because I know she broke up with a partner and she had all of these like DVDs and books and stuff like that. And I was quite interested. I was thinking, yo, what's all this? And I was just researching more about Black history, and wanted to even go, look into my own history. I took some time out, went to Nigeria for a bit and stuff like that. And when I came back, man, I was speaking like it was like a Malcolm move. I did that. When I came back, and my whole thought process changed. You know, I was just more into what I was called for. You know, so I had to stop all of the stuff with the models, and that's what. And working with youth also got me into wanting to create the Man in the Mirror documentary, because I thought to myself, how many people in our community are educated on how mental health affects us, especially how it affects the black man? How many stories are told? So I told my own story coming into the UK as a Nigerian, and all the issues I went through, you know, growing up. And you know, I had a couple of guest speakers, I had like a testimonial speakers, and I knew that the documentary was going to inspire, but I didn't know it would inspire quite a few people, you know, and there's certain people, because I didn't want to do it on a huge scale. I wanted to do it just locally, stuff like that. But because I kind of had a new Facebook page, I was in the community around that time, and there was brothers and sisters from the States. Because back in the day, I didn't really know too many brothers and sisters. Or say, like, one of my cousins used to see someone in Brooklyn, and she used to go back and forth. And back then, I always wanted to go to the States because I was doing open mic hip hop, but I was just had a fear of traveling. I don't know why, but when I came into the community and I started adding people started adding me. I was thinking, shit, it's about time I go out there, because there was a sister called Egina who lives in Chicago, sent me a donation. She just reconnected. She connected me with my page in 2013. I said to myself, shit, I never had anyone like a stranger give me like money like that. So I, because of my upbringing, you know, my dad was so harsh, so abusive. I had a shame. I felt I couldn't ask for money from no one. I was too proud, you know. So I came out to say say thank you. So I flew to Chicago, my first city I traveled to, and I was going through so much, and it was kind of like a breath of fresh air being out in the States, because I knew out in the States, due to the history, a lot of brothers and sisters were on the movement. So I just continued to come back and forth. Every year I was out there without fail. So then I started to go to Chicago all the time. Then I started going to Atlanta. Then at one time I go to Memphis. Then I'm in LA, and just starting, you know, connecting with people out there, and it was all love, you know. Not to say I've never had no bad experiences out there, but not enough for me to say I'm not returning, because I connected with solid brothers and sisters, even like, you know, Brother Tad, solid brothers and sisters, which, you know, have done a lot, but they may not think it, you know, why, even though Tad think, okay, I'll secure this venue. But back here, if it weren't people in my male circle or friends, I didn't get that. You know, I didn't get that love, because I grew up with tough love. I was even hustling. You know, I remember working at Mickey D's at one time, but I was always hustling. I was illegally hustling as well. You know, yeah, I had to feed myself. You know, because I was in an abusive house.
That's the plight of a black man in these systems, because you get caught in, I gotta pay this bill got to get paid, man. Fuck it.
Do. I think we all did that. In fact, I was sharing a story with somebody on my job about my old job before we had direct deposit. That's how I know I'm old, because this is back in the 90s, and everybody didn't have direct deposit, and you got your check, and everybody went to the bank for lunch. And one day I was just online, everybody's cashing their check, coming to pay me off. Everything they owe me. Like, yeah, thanks, good looking out. And the other coworkers like, what are you doing? Why is everybody giving you money? I said, oh no, I loaned it to them. They said, you got money like that? I said, no, it's just a few dollars, you know, but everybody credit was good on my job. I know when you get paid. But I think that's because this goes into my next question, but it speaks to what Gutter just brought up. You know, in this system, you do what you got to do to get to the next level, so you don't have to do it no more. So when you decided, brother Suraj, when you decided to take on this journey of talking about Black mental health, particularly for men, how was that received? Because at one point, Black men talking about mental health issues was taboo. You tell somebody you stressed or you going through something, they be like, man, slap an H on your chest and handle it. And we didn't have a real outlet. And I think it showed up in the way we behaved and treated each other. So was it received for you, or did you get resistance?
Oh, when I was talking about my own personal journey, or just
in just that topic, period? Because at one point it was taboo.
Well, yeah, I think I could speak. So I'll speak about my journey first, and obviously how it was received when I wanted to create my platform. So when I did it, I think for the community, when I did the launch, because I launched the documentary this year is the 10th year anniversary of the documentary. So when I launched the documentary 10 years ago, thank you, bro. When I launched the documentary, it was kind of like an insight which weren't expected at the time, but it was a breath of fresh air because someone had the balls or courage. People said that because I was a bit more like an open book. If I trusted you, I was open. Right. And I think people were kind of shocked. And, when I did the launch for it, it even got me in tears. It got people in tears, brothers and sisters, because of what they heard on the documentary. Like, guy been sexually abused couple times, and he went through this, he went through that, he went through this, he went through. It's like, no, there was no stop for me. But the brothers I was around who kind of came out there, it kind of inspired them because of how it was received. So it kind of got them back into whether it is writing poetry, when they wanted to do some like media work. It kind of got them inspired because I had the courage to put something like that together, and I weren't looking for no accolades. I just put it together because it was also part of my healing journey. I felt, let me put this out there because this is something our brothers and sisters are unaware. We're not telling enough stories or trying to get the support we need to heal. So I thought, let me just put this out there just to educate us, because especially because all of our stories are unique, but also coming from myself, because there was a lot of Nigerians back from the 1950s, 1960s, who, when they came over, a lot of them went into foster care. They were sexually abused, they committed suicide, stripped from their identity. There's still brothers and sisters right now who have reached adult age and they don't think they're black. You understand what I'm saying? So I felt I had to educate brothers and sisters, not just over here, but across the pond, to share that we've gone through similar stories and it's affecting our growth, our emotions and spirituality, coming up in the system of white supremacy.
Yeah. So, I mean, my mind is kind of blown. So last week, and it's funny you say that, last week our guest was the Irritated Genie. You're familiar with his works, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And at what point did you become familiar with his works and put the relation to this is how this particular culture is, white folks, how they view sex, and its relation to your upbringing? Like, did you have an aha moment? Like, this is the cultural difference. This is why I felt it was wrong. I didn't belong. Because you see, in this age, we have the alphabet community, the LGBTQIA plus, and that plus we know is a rainbow for all types of stuff that us as African people / black people, for those who ain't ready to be African yet, it's a cultural thing that we don't really participate in. And when we do, it's because of the trauma when we were young. How can I say this? Correlation that it's a cultural thing. It's not even so much as quote unquote race as it is a culture.
Yeah, I think I think just being Nigerian, we don't support it. That's just our culture. We don't support it. So I think Irritated Genie's work I felt was necessary to bring in the forefront, because most people are afraid to speak about it because of systemic racism and oppression, because once you start speaking on it, especially if you've got platforms or whatever you do, they want to shut you down quick time, or even try to incarcerate you for speaking on your views and thoughts on it. So I knew it was a problem. We just knew, even from young, I knew that wasn't in our makeup. We just believed in African weddings and stuff like that. We didn't believe in none of this. And I think and it's funny because I was watching. I don't watch it because I don't support, you know, the culture vulture. But I remember when, you know, the culture vulture had his channel, which Lord Jamar used to be on and stuff like that.
Right. What are you talking about? Yes.
Yeah. I think there was.
I was on there as well.
Yeah.
No, but I got respect for you, brothers, because you guys are solid. But what happened was, I think there was one of those, you know, alphabet folk on there, and he said this particular brother said something where I was glad he brought up, because he said, you know what, the majority of us, the reason why we're in this is because, you know, and he's telling people to keep it real. It's because we were sexually abused. It's because we were sexually abused. Like 75% of it is because of that. If it's not because, you know, you've grown up and you want to belong to something, because there's some people who are not even that way inclined, but because they didn't have that love, they just joined the bandwagon and felt more connected with the same sex and stuff like that. Or because of neglect, that's the reasons why people join up. But most of it is sexual abuse. It's sexually, but the problem is people can't draw that correlation. They can't see because at the end of the day, why is the same sex going to sexually abuse you? You understand what I'm saying? So if people don't know how to connect the dots and see through Robin Thicke's blurred lines, then you got a problem. You understand what I'm saying? When it comes to seeing what's going on, and this is damaging to our community, because it's almost like, you know, the unseen hand wants to take away what is organic, you know, when it comes to reproducing and preserving our own. So they know what they're doing, and that's why they targeted something which a lot of people relate to, especially the children, which is a rainbow, you know. So because children, they're like SpongeBobs, you know, they absorb. You understand what I'm saying? So they targeted there. So it's a mastermind. It's mastermind. You know, I don't support it, but it's a mastermind plan.
Oh, and is. And Dr. Amos Wilson even talked about that before.
Yeah.
That, you know,
it was basically taken from Fred Hampton.
What's that?
The correlation? Are you talking about alphabet?
Rainbow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You got to remember, first he did it, then Jesse Jackson.
Right.
And then next thing you know, what happened?
Yeah. Now it belongs to another group, and we can't even rock the rainbow. You know, Amos Wilson was talking about their ability to organize. He said he don't support the lifestyle at all. He said, but he admired the ability to organize. He said, what is it that we're lacking that we can't organize and mobilize like that?
Because their organizers are part of the structure.
Yes.
Their main organizers are Caucasian white men
that are in control of the media,
George Soros,
and entertainment. Yeah, definitely George Soros. That's why even when BLM first came out, and we were part of Straight Black Pride, you know, and for us that's just a lifestyle. Straight Black Pride is just a lifestyle. But when BLM came out, we were telling people what it was from its inception, and so many people bought it hook, line, and sinker. But I don't think folks remember George Soros had said he had millions of dollars he wanted to put in an organization for Black youth. He didn't say exactly what, but he did say that. So when BLM came along, I mean, they always been around. It was just a catchy slogan, and they capitalized on the tragedy of our young brother Mike Brown.
This is for me. I was in prison at the time, so I don't know what was going on at the ground, but just from my perception, the phrase got hijacked by somebody else with money-making intentions.
Yeah. Well, what it was they
happened. You know what I'm saying? Like they made an organization out of a movement, but they weren't the initiators of the movement.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. You know, so
that's exactly what happened.
The movement got hijacked by somebody on the money-making scheme.
Yeah, because
that's the same thing, bro. We have this in. I'm quite sure, like you said, you work with the kids. If you dealing with organizations, I don't know how it is in UK. I don't know how it is in UK, but over here, the organizations get paid. The government funds them. You have a lot of people that build up organizations just for money grab.
And you see what you just said there, see Gutter. That's one of the reasons why, because it's crazy. Because over here, I would see that as an outcast. Because at the first, you know, I had the community on my side, or the people who kind of knew. Because when I did the documentary, a lot of the main players who are known in the community over here were in the documentary. Because I used to support and go to the events prior. That's why it was easy to get them easier to get them involved what I was doing. But after a while, I kind of saw, and it's not all of them, and it's not here for me to say no names stuff, but I was seeing that certain folks didn't necessarily have the intentions I thought they would when it came to our people. You know, some people are either secretly you know, whether they was being intimate with, you know, the Caucasians, or they're doing the money grabs and stuff like that. And I was thinking, you know, each to their own and stuff like that. But it wasn't something I supported. I didn't want to fall into that. So when I was doing things differently, people was just like, yo, this guy's too radical. So I just connected with the brothers and sisters in the States, and even in the islands, like I had support in Trinidad as well. And in the States, because and the odd support on the continent, because they relate to what I was saying. They related more to what I was saying, and it was more easier to build bridges that way, because certain folks over here, it was more, it started to become like a clique. So if you ain't part of the clique, which deal with the money grabs, as you mentioned, Seagata, or, you know, if you ain't in bed with, yeah, you ain't in bed with the Beckys and Bobs. Yeah, you just
the thing is the grifters know each other.
Yeah,
because they know, and I don't mean know each other personally. What I mean is they know, like, all right, I know who's going to go with the program of getting the money. So I'm gonna, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna align myself with them. So somebody that's not just in it for the money, because let's not get it twisted. Everybody is trying to make some type of income in what they do.
Absolutely.
You understand? But what are your intentions? So, because I look at it like this: what are your intentions? If you make $4 million, what are your intentions to do with the $4 million?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not being opposed to people making money, but what are your intentions? Is it for you? Is the money grab? Are you taking money for organization for the people and taking 90% of it for you and give 10% to the people? Or are you going to take 10% for yourself and give 90% to the people?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I'm saying, because even
that's the whole point. It's like, all right, like, and everybody likes nice things. You know what I'm saying? But if I like nice things, I'm gonna do something else, as opposed to I'm gonna find another income source, as opposed to doing this where I'm taking from the people.
And what folks should realize, if you take care of the people gonna take care of you. So if you want nice things, people gonna look out and hook you up. You might have you might have somebody support you that work at the Lexus dealership and be like, yo, come see me, get your whip discounted, because you take care of the people. But unfortunately, folks are so self-centered, and that's the problem we have within the leadership, that conversations like this is taboo. Because I know me and Sister Keisha used to catch hell, and we used to give them hell too. Because people used to always say, oh, you can't be this, you can't be that, you can't be against. I'm like, first of all, we got gay people in our family that we love. That's not the issue. The issue is that there's an agenda to force this on our children and make this behavior acceptable, because I have family values in my home. And at a certain age, do we discuss mating habits and things like that? So I'm not going to have these conversations with my son or daughter at 5 and 6 years old that I feel is inappropriate. That's not even age appropriate for my child yet, let alone the confusion part of it. So I'm not even going to talk about boy and girl being together, let alone girl and girl and boy. But again, here's people trying to force themselves in our homes. And that's what became problematic. And we pushed the line. We didn't care. We knew BLM had all this kind of money. I think Sister Keisha mentioned last week. Angela Davis spoke against us. We was like, we don't care because we know it's in the best interest of our people. And this confusion is not in the best interest. So we didn't care about the name or the title, how long you've been doing this, because the landscape is always going to change. The battlefield, the terrain is always going to change. And you have to adapt with the changes. These people are so antiquated and think that we're anti-Black because we don't support that behavior. But it's the same as
you said Angela Davis people against you?
Yeah.
Oh, I ain't surprised. I ain't surprised.
Yeah. No, we was going in. But I'm not just talking about her. I'm talking about even the African-centered teachers were distancing themselves because they were put on the spot. Do you support this organization? Do you support Straight Black Pride? Do you support? And you almost had to say no. Because people were so afraid because the puppet masters, the people who were pulling the purse strings was telling these people that we were the enemy. In fact, they even wrote it about us in the Essence magazine. Not Essence, was it? It was one of the Black publications, but I knew the author. And it was so funny that I saw him in the barbershop and I was like, bro, we got to talk. And he's like, yo, what up? He's like, yo, what's up? I said, I don't like that article you wrote that. He said, yo, you a part of that? He said, nah, brother, he said, what is the Black family now? Because I'm like, do you have a problem with the Black family? I said, you have a Black wife, you have Black children. Like, at what point do you have a problem with the Black family? He said, well, see, when you say the Black family, what do we mean? I said, the same thing it's always been. Man, woman creating children. And yes, it was. Thank you, Sister Keisha. She put the names up there: Angela Davis, Mark Lamar Hill, and Killer Mike. And it was Ebony Magazine. That's what it was. So so these are powerhouses here. We're fighting these people with huge platforms and corporate sponsorship, and that's the thing we got to look out for anyway. Who is supporting these people? When you got corporate sponsorship, are you really for the people? Or are you for the check, like Brother Ola just said? Right.
Yeah, because so I had to put away. I just had to put away because I guess when I started to connect with, certain folks in the States, whether it was obviously, well, I think because I haven't I met the Barutis in person yet, but I've known them over the, certain amount during the COVID period online.
Right. Shout out to Baba Baruti. Yeah.
And I've had their support as well when I've done the virtual events. And you, Brother Tad, Brother Honore, and Sister LJ in Georgia, who are originally from the East Coast. There's just certain people I just started to connect with out there slowly, and just wanted to come back because if that's where the wind blows, and that's why at certain point I was thinking maybe I'm in the wrong place. I might have to move out here temporarily before going back to the country. Because folks are saying, yo, your work is needed here. And I was like, okay, because I'm passionate, and I've done events here before, when I launched the documentary. I've even had events where people, weren't even taking certain things seriously, didn't want to pay and stuff like that. Or just wanted to remain with the clique or whatever. And as you guys mentioned, the money grab folks and stuff. And I said, I can't do it that way. That's not I don't believe in doing it that way, because once they put a chokehold over that, it's over. You understand what I'm saying? Because you are no longer, you're giving up your creative rights. You're giving up your creative rights because there's no way you're expecting to receive. Exactly. There's no way you're expected to receive this money grab if you're not doing what they tell you to. There's a lot of red tape around it.
Yeah, we had all that resistance, and even on the quote unquote grassroots level, because they put fake people in leadership. There was a dude named Gazi Kojo or something. Like, he was like a flaming homosexual, and he be twerking in front of the red, black, and green, and it almost made a mockery of the work that we do, trying to agitate the consciousness of our folks, and people were like, He was like, Garvey would love the fuck out of me. Garvey would love me. I'm like, yo, this dude is bugged out. Clearly, he never read the thoughts and opinions. He never read the opinions and philosophy of Marcus Garvey.
I be thinking them people be plants, man.
They are. And that's my point, Gutter. Right there. You hit it on the head. They are plants. And unfortunately, some of our folks are not sophisticated enough to recognize this because they go for who has the bigger name and who has all the money and the support. They don't look for the sincerity.
No, this is the biggest problem with our people. We go on the emotional level.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a huge problem. Emotional level as opposed to thinking logically.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And as opposed to thinking logically, bro, Tad, you know I have debates damn near every day with somebody for saying dumb shit out their mouth.
Yeah, for me, it's Stockholm syndrome at its finest.
Yeah, it is. And see, and this is why we do these platforms, because our folks have to have a place that's going to give it to you raw and uncut and really give you a guideline, so to speak, you know, because one thing I like that Red Pill did when he approached Mark Lamont Hill. See, Mark Lamont Hill thought he was safe at the African Street Festival, and Red Pill approached him. And I think he was going to punch him in the face because Mark Lamont Hill did something very disrespectful on the passing of Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. First, I
think is that the video? Is that this video where Professor Jay Smalls were present?
Yes.
Okay.
Professor James Smalls was trying to get Red Pill to chill because he approached Mark Lamont Hill. The funny thing about when Mark Lamont Hill did that, first he expressed his condolences, you know, but then turned around. There was this gay guy who said some very derogatory things about the ancestor. And Mark Lamont Hill reposted it, saying, I couldn't have said it better or something like that. But we found it very disrespectful because she had just transitioned. I think like a day or two. It wasn't even a week that she had transitioned. And he took this position to be against her lifelong work. Because remember, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, only book she put out there was the ISIS papers. Was the ISIS paper. So this is her life's work. And here you try to sum it up in a post and discredit her when everything that we're fighting right now, she talked about decades ago, under the instruction of her teacher, Dr. Neely Fuller Jr., who wrote the compensatory code. You know, I can't say the whole title, but you know, the black and white book, the compensatory code of racism, you know? So we have a lineage. And Red Pill asked him, it was either Mark Lamont Hill or Hawk Newsom when he was representing Black Lives Matter New York. He asked a critical question: who are your OGs? And he's like, what do you mean, who's the OGs? Like, who do y'all listen? Like, where y'all get this information from? And I thought that was so profound because Mark Lamont Hill tried to say that he was a student of Dr. Khalid. And I'm like, see, now he's throwing names around because Dr. Khalid would never support none of this foolishness going on. But he know people on the grassroots level will follow the name because a lot, like you said, got a lot of people are emotional. So you say Dr. Khalid, it invokes emotion. We love him, adoration. Oh, so you support Dr. Khalid, so you one of ours. But they're missing the message and the teaching because now you're lying because Dr. Khalid would never support none of this foolishness. So don't say you're a student of Dr. Khalid and then go against everything he represents. That's a big problem. And I love that Red Pill had brought that up. He challenged all of these dudes that was against our position with that. Like, who are your OGs? You can't say Dr. Clark. You can't say Dr. Ben. You can't say Asa Hilliard. You can't say these people. You're going to have to say, like, these newfound dudes. You could say a Sean King. You could say a Colin Kaepernick. Those are their OGs. These pseudo black leaders. Because the real ones are on the grassroots and they're not getting notoriety, like a Professor Smalls and a Dr. Jeffries.
I see a lot of these black YouTubers like that got big followings talk about like homophobia.
Right.
And I'll be like within the black community. And I'm like, bro, who's scared of? Like, I don't even understand, like, who's that? Because phobia means a fear.
Fear of, right.
Exactly. You see, we were the same page. Like, see, me and C. Gotto's that. They don't even know they try to weaponize their words.
Yeah, I don't understand that word because, like I said, I'm gonna deal with logic, bro. You know what I mean? I understand what the word means.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they fear. No, it's not a fear. It's just culturally, we just don't. You know what I'm saying? Even though you may be of the same
skin complexion,
and family, that doesn't mean that I agree with those. That's a decision you make. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
After something has happened to you,
and we don't have to. We don't have to. You know, we don't have
to. You don't have to because it goes through certain people that it has happened to, and that hasn't changed them.
And that's what I was going with it, because the whole thing, even right now to this day, what Brother Suraj is doing, we have to be able to identify the little nuances, the little change of behavior. Because how do we protect our children? Because what we're talking about is abuse. We're talking about children not being protected under the care of the people who are supposed to protect them, whether it's family or just a guardianship. Our children should always be safe. And unfortunately, the behaviors we see in our community is a lot of anger because our children don't feel protected. It's not just the girls, because you hear Black women say, oh, we're the least protected. But people don't know that boys are suffering in silence as well. That's why with Brother Suraj is doing this.
Our little boys and girls are the least protected.
Exactly. Right.
We're putting them in people's hands that may not even care about their own children.
There you go. And we know that to be a fact, because I worked in the foster care system, and you really got some people who genuinely love these children. And then you got some folks who give them back as soon as the money stops.
And don't even like their own kids.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? And the sad thing is, in our community, we have too much of that. In America, we have too much of that as opposed to the loving, nurturing women. They know they get money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now, if a kid is coming from foster care into your home and he already got issues, and then you treat him like shit,
just compounding the issues.
Yeah. What do you expect out of that little boy that's going to turn into an adult? Because he's never going to turn into a man. He's never going to turn into a man until he gets the opportunity to. But if you keep compounding all that trauma, he's going to stay. He's going to be an adult boy and going to act out.
Yep.
I think it's interesting. I really appreciate you, C. Gutter, for bringing this out. This is the whole point I'm doing this presentation, the unspoken truth behind the Black man's abuse, because I'm gonna give people a good show, but I'm gonna break this whole. I'm gonna break it down, because it's about how to connect the dots. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people like to blame the children, or blame folk, but we have to. You need to explore things from the roots, because when we get all this gender war BS, when people are like saying it's a Black man's problem, Black woman's problem, but unless you explore the root cause, you just going off what you've watched on YouTube by these YouTube social media personalities, then you need to really study this properly. Where it's not just it's a mixture of the teacher's work, and it's also a mixture of thorough research, because we have to look at it from a historical point of view, a political point of view, social point of view as well, and economic. So that's why I work in mental health. Just like you exactly, and you've worked. You said it. You said you worked in foster care. I work in mental health. So we're trying to bring this knowledge forward and compile everything together, so we can draft this out. We can lay down this, presentation properly, so brothers and sisters understand how the problem arose, how it came about, and how we can tackle it.
Yeah. So now name the new project again. The one you're gonna be showcasing when you get to the States. Because I also want to get into your tour. You will be here I want you to give them the dates in the city. But what's the name of the project again?
Okay, so The Man in the Mirror presents the unspoken truth by the black man's abuse. So this presentation, because I got another project called MBK International. I know Taz joining the meeting next Sunday and stuff, but I'll be getting into that MBK International a bit later on. But the Man in the Mirror project is basically a presentation which basically gives folks an insight, brothers and sisters, just a black family, an insight on how abuse affects the black man from childhood, from what we just mentioned, from a historical, emotional, systemic, political standpoint. So we're going to obviously break that down to how it affects the black man and how it affects the black family. How that affects the black family. And also we're going to be talking about how we can combat that with the solutions with another project I have called My Brother's Keeper International, and also providing resources to help the black man on his journey of decolonization reshape his mental when it comes to just kind of enhancing his economic, his social, and his emotional stability.
Yeah. So what cities are you going to be in?
Yeah, there's been a bit of a change, but I'll be coming out to Brooklyn on the 30th of June. So I have the Brooklyn event on the 30th, Sunday, the 30th of June. I'll be in Atlanta, Georgia, hosting, I think it's on the 22nd at Atlanta, Georgia. I will be in Dallas on the 7th. I think it's the 7th, 7th or 8th I'm hosting it. I think it's the 7th. The 7th I'm hosting in Dallas. No, actually I'll fly out on the 7th, so it's the 8th, sorry. So 8th of Dallas,
8th of
Texas.
July?
June. 8th of June, yeah.
That's all of these are in June.
Yeah, but we got Sacramento as well. Sacramento, California is going to be on the 13th. I'm hoping to still do Detroit. We're 50-50 about Detroit at the moment, but I will probably be in Memphis again as well, hosting it. But I haven't got the dates for Memphis yet. But yeah, so yeah, I think it's North Carolina is the only one I had to shift.
Okay.
Damn, yeah. I got a homegirl that does mental health stuff too. Steph, Tad, Carnegie.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I don't know her personally, but I know who you're talking about. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, she got a thing called Totality Wellness that she does a lot of mental health work.
Is she from New York?
Huh?
Is she in New York?
Yeah. She's in Brooklyn.
Yeah, so she should come. She should come out to this.
Yeah. I'm gonna get in touch with her and I'm gonna try to get y'all together and maybe y'all could do some things together. Cause she got, she was dealing with the with mental health thing with kids and all of that too, as well. So she has a certain way she go about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and as Frederick Douglass said, it's better to build strong children than repair broken adults. And I think that's why this is important, because as we talked about hip hop, as you know, me and Gutter being from Brooklyn and you being from Brixton, and recognizing the similarities, we have to start being able to identify why is it like that? Why was crime so prevalent in our community? Why was the mistreatment of each other so prevalent? Because we know in this system, we're taught to hate ourselves. So we could hate somebody that look just like us. And as opposed to recognizing, greeting them as a brother, we look at them as an op. In fact, sometimes, and God, I don't know if you experienced, and you probably experienced this too, Brother Suraj, you can be in a white area, like let's say Manhattan, and you walking by and you make eye contact with a brother. Sometimes you may nod and he give you an ice grill like you're a problem. With all of these white people around, he won't give them the ice grill, but he'll identify you as the problem. And y'all could be listening to the same music in your headphones or whatever. And I always find that weird, because when I see brothers, I always try to acknowledge them. I just give them a nice little head nod. All right, bro, I see you. Peace.
We got the angry homie. This right. Be growling at everybody, As soon as the white people come out with their little puppies and shit, he's smiling.
Yeah, shucking the job. That's the self-hate that this system has programmed, and we have to deprogram ourselves. That's why mental health awareness is the minimum of what we need to start incorporating.
It's the foundation. It's the foundation. It's the foundation because we can't talk about nation building or trying to create some infrastructure to help us with our water supply system or help us with our food, you know, our lighting, whatever we need to get our minds right. You know, we can't be coming into these. You can't be these type of creators if we ain't getting the mind right, because that's the foundation. Now we reshape, because a lot of brothers and sisters, they will go and work for these white corporate companies and help this system in the West, where we need to rebuild where we originate, and we need to also see that these colonial lines are keeping us divided. You know, we need to really see that it's colonial, because you see, got a tattoo my brother from another mother from overseas, and that's how I see it. Yeah, and I know how it is, because I know there's a lot of Nigerians in like Texas and states and stuff like that, and I know how
it's territorial. It's territorial in the United States. This is how bad it is. It's like down south dudes, and it's not everybody, but it's a small minority everywhere that just don't like other people from somewhere else.
Right. You from New York, we don't like you. Oh, you one of the New Yorkers, we don't like you.
Just like New York dude, this country nigga coming over here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Or even Brooklyn and Harlem.
Yeah.
Harlem cat.
And it's not everybody. Like I said, it's a small percentage, but it's usually the motherfuckers with the biggest mouths.
Yeah.
That keep us apart. You know what I mean? Like me, I like accents, bro. I've been mocking people accents for years, since I was a little kid. That's how one of the places I got my ass whipped and got in a lot of fights. You know what I'm saying? Mocking people's voices. You know what I mean? So like I just get intrigued by accents. So I want to sound like the individuals did. You know what I mean? And I listen to that, so but we all the same, because we all say the same shit, but just in different ways. You know what I mean? And me being brought up I was brought up in a Pan-African household. You understand what I'm saying? So, like I said, like my mother gave me an African name. You know what I mean? I was getting called African booty scratcher in Mississippi. You understand what I'm saying? So I was going through it. You know what I mean? So, but at the same time, like I still like love my people. And I'm a dude that don't like people generally. You know what I'm saying? I don't like humans generally, but I love my people. You know what I'm saying? And that's what us as a whole got to understand. Like everybody has their own idiosyncrasies. I don't like being around people unless I really like them. And sometimes if I really like them, I need a break from them.
Yeah.
I can't be around nobody 24 hours a day, bro. Yeah. That's just me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I mean, like, out of the 24 hours, I can't be around even my people too long. I got to at least walk off, give me an hour by myself. Let me sit over here, smoke, or drink a cup of coffee and get away from you. And, that's just me. You know what I'm saying? But we got to all understand that we in this together. Unless you not in this with us.
Right. Then you're in the way.
I'm saying then you're in the way. So just go ahead, go to the side, get out the way. And they're gonna end up reaping the benefits in the long run.
Yeah. And God, it's funny you say that.
Benefits getting out the way. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because you won't be a hindrance to us. You know what I mean? And then
you're not helping.
When we finally get to where we need to be, you're there. You're going to reap the benefits.
Right.
You know what I mean? So some of these people need to really get out the way, man.
Yeah. And it's funny because with mental health and leadership, because we see that going on in leadership, like what you said, sometimes you need a break. One of the problems I find with our people is they always got to be around somebody. It's always got to be an activity. Always got to be drunk. Always got to be high. Seldom can they sit by themselves and just think. Think about their lives. Think about where they are in their condition, because a lot of people aren't where they want to be in life. I think if you're not getting up every day trying to get to the next level, then you might as well just lay down and die. But some people are just happy where they are, and they are in the way. And even in leadership, because when we go back to mental health issues, we see a lot of folks who look at social media followings as being a qualifier to making them a leader. And we know as a leader, you have to organize the people. You have to organize folks.
Or being educated.
Right. Even educated, because you got some, like, look, Mark Lamar Hill is very educated, but he's stupid.
No, that's what I'm
stupid.
That's my point, is like,
yeah,
you got a lot of these dudes, and you know what it is? Not to say that you have to be in the streets to really understand the system, because it's a lot of dudes that's in the streets that don't understand the system.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you are as intelligent as those brothers that went to college and got their degrees, you know, because you're still gonna take in information, and you have a discerning eye. That's one thing we have. You know what I'm saying? Because once you're in the streets, if you have intelligent and you know about your people, because this is the thing, is just like how you got away from yourself. You know what I mean? I got away from myself for years, bro. You know what I mean? I was brought up to be, as my name speaks. You understand? I'm Balogun. But, you know, not understanding what it means really, but just taking off of what you think it means and just going with that full blast. I had a temper, which caused a whole lot of trouble. You know what I mean?
You and me both.
and I'm the youngest boy. I'm only boy. So I had to fight for me and my older siblings, which I couldn't. I was getting my ass whooped. You know what I'm saying? They 3, 4, and 7 years older than me. So I ain't have no wins with no niggas that was talking slick to them. You know what I'm saying? So, but then when I got into the streets, I learned even more.
Right.
See, it's interesting because I didn't like fight. I personally didn't want to fight brothers because they look like me. I didn't want to. I had to. There's certain situation I had to, but I didn't want to. And I think although I had a hot temper, I think at certain periods people thought, oh, yo, this guy might be afraid. But I think those around me, whether they were from the streets or like personal friends, when they really saw me flip out, there was a reason why they knew later, okay, this is why this guy don't like to fight.
I didn't like fighting.
This is why this guy don't like to fight, because when I used to black out, people think, nah, this is not normal the way he does it. He does it like it's just like, that person.
I didn't like fighting, but I had a slick mouth. Like, I always cracked jokes, and I was a little dude, so I had the little man complex. So I would crack jokes and go beyond I'm keep going. So dudes get mad and we end up fighting. That was the majority of my fights. Or actually at one time, like, knowing more than somebody else and they're a little older than you. You know what I'm saying? They would get upset.
Right.
Because I'm and I was not like, when I make a statement of fact, I stood on it, and dude older than you and you a little dude, man, you get socked right in the face. You know what I mean? Because
you challenging him.
You making him look smaller than you.
Right.
That's worse than challenging. Like, for me, say I'm 13 and he 18. And I make him look stupid in front of a bunch of people. I'm gonna sock him in the face.
Yeah, the pride.
You know our community. You know how our communities are. You know what I'm saying? That's just. And I never. What's crazy is I will always be surprised, which was stupid. Like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, why is it's the truth? Why you mad? Because I'm telling the truth.
But it's a rites of passage. It's that I saw the streets as a rites of passage.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of the day, it kind of that was like a regular thing. Like
it teaches you how to talk.
Yeah, and to try and your best to remove fear. Obviously, we still have it at times when it's least expected, but obviously with the streets, when you know how the streets operate, it's more predictable. So you kind of move fear for the quick. Because I'm more fearful of social media takedown when you get slandered than the streets, because I was thinking, shit, at least the streets, you know who's going to be where. This time you knew how to maneuver a situation. So the fear factor.
Now, because you do something to somebody, they'll want to kill you and then tell the police on you.
Yeah.
This shit is crazy. So I definitely stay away.
Yeah, it's different. And it's like the social media almost became the streets now, because we got the retarded kids in the class with us now. So now just because they got more friends than you, they think they smarter than you, and they just say the most outlandish stuff. And you be like, yo, where are you getting this from? Like, he's like, yo, look how many likes I got on that post. It must be true.
Or if somebody has like a more gregarious character, people like that's the perfect. Look at Trump, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the dumbest dudes, presidents in that I ever seen. I've been watching politics because, like I said, my mom's a parent, so I've been watching politics since I was a little dude. You understand what I'm saying, girl?
Yeah. I ain't gonna never forget George Bush Jr. Look, remember George Bush Jr. was reading the book upside down, so I don't know if it get dumber than that.
That nigga dumber than George.
We keep forgetting because
George Bush was dumb as shit, but this dude is a moron.
I mean,
but you know what he do? I'm gonna tell you why he dumb. See, George Bush just ain't he didn't know how to fake it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? George Bush ain't know how to fake like he had some intelligence. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. This dude acts like he's the smartest nigga and is actually the dumbest. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we have. We got more people like that have platforms, very large platforms, than you have people that's really discussing the meat and bones of what we going through.
And you know, it's crazy because that's where the value is. It's like diamonds. You know, diamonds are valuable because they rare. Anybody just can't get it, so you ain't gonna see everybody walking picking up a diamond. Pebbles are everywhere, and that's what these dudes got. They got pebble knowledge because they got a big following. They think they so smart. You take a dude like Sucker Polite. You know, they call him Brother Polite. I'm always gonna call him Sucker Polite because I knew he wasn't right from the gate. He was, you know. I wouldn't really call him articulate. He just had a slick tongue. You know, he talked like he's a fast talker. He's a street dude. He could talk fast. And I already seen it in him. But when you harm children in our community, especially in leadership, anybody, because when you're in leadership, all eyes are on you already. But then you do
how do you get in leadership? That's my first.
Exactly.
I was in prison. So a lot of stuff that I may be not up on.
Right.
But my question is like, from me ever first seeing him, I don't understand how he was in the position he was in.
Right.
I think what's interesting,
that's smart enough to know.
I think going just
was down with it.
Just going off what you brothers are saying with the whole social media thing, I think a lot of people also felt like they didn't have a voice. I don't know whether they felt because they was bullied or in school, or
that's I don't know
they didn't have a voice. And it's interesting when I look at certain people on social media, because to me, I don't understand it, because when I first came into the community, I remember there's this brother called Daniel who had an organization called African Sons and Daughters, and he was trying to promote his event and stuff. And I wanted to come to the event, because when I first came into the community, probably about 12 years ago, and I didn't check to see if he had a following or stuff like that. None of that shit mattered. I'm old school, so I thought, okay, the knowledge he has is like a jewel. It was something I would really wanted to go and see if I could contribute, whether I could send a donation or just see if I could get involved or just share the information onwards. And I think that's where we are we're getting lost in today's community, because obviously back in the day with the Pan-African movement, it was more authentic, it was more organic. Now everybody wants to be on social media. People really feel when you have so many followers that means that person's the most successful or the most respected and stuff like that. And it's mad, it's crazy, it's mind-boggling. Like the person who don't have a lot of following might even have a track record of work they've done in the community. That's why I don't understand why people go so much on the numbers. No, it's just like a popularity contest, man, with the contest.
That's exactly what
it is. That's the same thing. That's the same who voting for the president.
Yeah.
For popularity contest.
I hate that. I hate it.
Yeah, and see, for us as a community, it harms us, because I know when I came into the movement in the 90s,
proud of it.
Our teachers worked together. It wasn't like, look, Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark didn't compete with one another. If dudes had a different, like if our teachers had a difference of opinion, they put the facts on the table and start examining that, not attacking each other, saying, nah, you stupid, where you get that from? No, they worked together. Dr. Chancellor Williams, Ivan Van Sertima, Dr. Clark, and Dr. Ben was with Gil Noble. I love that picture they all have together, showing what unity looks like, because even today, you get some master teachers who don't get along. Then that's problematic, because we got to look at them as the parents and we're the children, so to speak. And
shit ever.
Yeah. And they don't see it, and that becomes the problem, because it's like, come on, man, we looking for y'all for guidance to assist us in getting to the next level, but y'all got petty beefs that we seen never moved us. Nowhere in history has our elders and teachers beefing moved us to the next level. And that becomes a contradiction in everything they say they represent. So why should we even listen to you or follow you? And now we have this new generation, these pseudos, because this is why I love my sister Keisha, because everybody know me, her brother Ashe, we about that action. Anybody act stupid, you might get these hands. And we let it be known. We're not going to sit here and argue with you and intellectually masturbate with you. No, you're going to get hands, because what we're doing is serious business, and you're taking it for a money grab or a popularity contest, and our lives and our protection is literally at stake. This is why we want to protect the children. This is how we're going to get the economics back in our hand. But if we got people that are jumping in leadership positions and fumbling the ball, we don't need you out here, because this is serious business. We do this in the spirit of a Malcolm, a Dr. Khaled, a Fannie Lou Hamer, a Harriet Tubman. We do this in the spirit of the ancestors. So this is not a joke. This is not a game. We understand that there's still political prisoners for taking this position, but other people want to do it for a popularity contest. I like that you said sometimes you need to take a break from people, because even in leadership, sometimes a leader needs to take a break and let somebody else come who's vetted. There's a something I read years ago, and it's called the Lessons of Geese, and it talks about geese flying in the V formation, and it says the one in the front creates a tailwind that the rest of the geese ride on. This is how they get south. And once he gets tired, he falls to the back, and the next geese come up, and they all take turns and getting themselves south. And they say even if one of the goose fall, one or two will stay behind him until he gets better or he passes away, and they wait for the next flock to come and they ride with them. That's proper organization, because it all shouldn't fall on one person either. This is why our audience, this is why community support is so important, because this is a thankless job. You go broke doing this pro-Black African-centered stuff. You need the support, because you're really trying to build a nation, carry a nation. You got to fly back and forth. Like, look, this brother's coming from the UK. He's coming from Europe. It's not like he could jump on the Greyhound or jump on the A train and get here. It costs. And once he get here, he has to fly around. these things cost money, and people think that, oh, well, if it's knowledge, it's supposed to be free. Plane tickets ain't free, books ain't free, lectures ain't free, traveling ain't, none of this stuff is free.
Nigga, school ain't free.
Say it again, yeah.
School ain't free.
School ain't exactly. Again, it's how it's what they appreciate, you know, because obviously if it comes to some Nike or Jordans, you know, they're quick to purchase. They see the value of that. But what, as you said, you know, if they don't see the value in you, you know, because it might, as you might not be as popular as the next speaker, so they might be like, well, I'm not going to pay for this. But we shouldn't view things like that. And just to add what you said, brother Tad, just a moment ago on some of the behaviors and characteristics of our people, I think we have to go back to the whole village kind of teachings, the village teachings, and how we congregate within that village when it comes to protocol, code of conduct, because we're not having those discussions. What protocols and code of conduct are we putting in place so this doesn't become out, you know, this don't become out of hand? Because sometimes I don't even know what, you know, I know there's been certain, I've even seen that there's brothers and sisters over the States who've been in situations, and I might even be, because I might know this one, I might feel that I'm caught in the middle and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I don't know the personal situations, but we need to come together as a village and see if things can be ironed out, you know, because all of this ego tripping, like we're supposed to be, yeah, because we're supposed to be the ones who are supposed to be the teachers to the children. But you know, if we're acting more immature,
who want to be the top, who want to be the most seen, who want to be the King Kong of consciousness.
Yeah. Come on, man. Yeah, exactly. I'm the most requested. It's me. I'm doing this, and that's not even African in itself, to be the big I and the little U's.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a contradiction in itself.
Kings had to be made by the council, my nigga.
Yeah, exactly. You can't be a self-proclaimed king, and that's folks' problem. Because in gutter, that happens because there's no consequences. It's like, dudes, we know in the streets, if you come on the block, you violate, you getting dealt with. That's it. We not gonna sit here and argue with you. You gonna get hands and feet put on you if you violate this community. We just like, yeah, I don't support him. Nah, no, don't not support him. Kick his ass. Let him know you mean business. Because violence is the only language people understand. That's how we got in this condition. That's how we got colonized. They didn't sweet talk us into slavery. They kicked ass.
Yeah, but the problem is we don't always have those people. And the thing is, we don't always have those people. I'm not saying there ain't no people from the streets who you know will lay down that foundation. It's funny, Tad, you have this conversation, because I had this conversation earlier on, you know, with one of the brothers who's going to be on the call next week, Tad, and it said, like, sometimes that's the language. So me, just funny and this is earth sign to earth sign, because I know you Capricorn, so Virgo, so I get it, brother. You know, when it comes to that, because that's how we were raised before. Because back in the day when you're growing up, whether it's in your household or whether it's on the streets, you're gonna get dealt with a certain way, you know.
Right, because that's the only language. That's the universal language.
The best way. I'm not always saying it's the best way, but at the end of the day, as you said, no one wants to be accountable, and not, you know. And it's almost when you have people like us who talk about this, oh, these people are rational, they're mature, and all of this BS and stuff like that. You know, so I don't know. I don't understand.
I don't understand how they think you're gonna go to war without a sword and a shield.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You're not gonna get on this field and not get tackled.
How are your troops gonna be at their top form if you allow a bunch of you know,
undisciplined dudes?
Undisciplined shit. If you got you got undisciplined in the ranks, you got to deal with it. They either out or you gonna get spanked in the compliance.
Or people run away. People run away from the talks, the conversations, because there's brothers like us who are certified, which were always willing to listen. You know, if you are a man You should be able to come. Stop hiding. People, and that's another thing I hate. People using social media to hide. People don't want to. I'm coming to this. I'm coming to the States. Even if we got a situation, let's have a discussion, man. Let's have a discussion. Yeah. People like to hide, and to me, it's just a lot of the characteristics with certain brothers and sisters. They are so cowardly. And we definitely need to bring back that we need to carry on tradition. Like Nas said, we need to keep that old school. We need to bring that back.
Just accountability. If you're wrong, you're wrong. You was mistaken, say I made a mistake. I didn't have all the facts. I spoke too early. I misspoke. Like look at our brother Jenny last week. I like that, he apologized to Gutter, for judging him without even knowing him. And he said, I didn't even think he'd do that, I don't know if he called our sister Keisha yet and gave her apology, but the whole thing is that when you're wrong, you got to admit you're wrong. And that's the only way we can move forward. But some people, and this is why they can't be in leadership anyway, because they be wrong and strong. They be like, I'm wrong and I'm strong in my position. Later for that. And we can't be like that because we can't move forward if we can't resolve our conflicts in-house. We got any discrepancies we have to resolve it so we can move forward, because then what that do is cause dissension in the ranks. And now you got one faction going this way, one faction going this way. We saw that with the Nation of Islam after Elijah Muhammad passed away.
We can't have compromise.
Right. We can't.
That's the thing. You can't compromise anything. I'm not being friends with people that's not, with the cause. You understand what I'm saying? Like non-Africans, if you're not, you know what I'm saying, if you're not with us, fuck you. You know what I mean? I'm literally on that type of timing. You know what I'm saying? That's my time. It's like I'm not compromising with nobody.
And we can't, because what we see is what Dr. Claude Anderson talked about years ago about pushing the migrants here. I remember Dr. Claude said we have until 2015 or it's going to be too late. Here it is 9 years later, the floodgates are open, because before you just had blacks and you had whites and blacks and others. Now you got whites, Asians, Spanish, others, and we at the bottom of the totem pole. So now when they talk about the black and white wealth gap and things like that, it's not just a wealth gap per speak, it's an information gap, because the stuff that's promoted to us in our community, again, by corporations, it's intentionally done to dumb us down. I just saw a video over the weekend where a school has stopped Sexy Red from coming to speak to the children, which I thought was a great call, because they said she came in and smelling like marijuana, part one. Part two, what positive message could she give to the children? What can she really tell the children? We seen how Glorilla behaved. We see the mindsets of who's being forced on us. They're not giving us a KRS-One. They're not giving us anybody a substance. They're not giving us a Lauryn Hill, a Sister Soldier. They're giving us people to sink us further into the abyss of degeneracy. And they're paying these people millions of dollars to do it. And then you get a sucker like Drake who attaches himself to that ratchetness just to stay relevant. And it's like, yo, it's one big circus, and this is marketed to our children. That's why I stand with you, better, when you said we can't compromise, because people don't realize entertainment is entertainment. But when it comes down to the preservation of our people, because that's what we're talking about, because the fact of the matter is our young people are killing each other. Dudes are gunning each other down in front of their children. We're talking about life and death, and people just think it's empty words. But this is a reality we have to deal with. And we're not dealing with it seriously because we only want to be entertained. And that's one of our biggest problems. Because if you're a good entertainer, I'll listen to you. I'll listen to a Sukiana before I listen to a Dr. Claude, because Sukiana is more popular than Dr. Claude. How crazy is that?
That's the problem. And I think another
It's a huge problem.
Yeah, I think another factor is fear is one, and being burnt out, because those brothers and sisters, what you used to talk with. I said, you've been in the community, both of you, longer than me. I've only been in it for 12 years, and I've seen a lot already. People getting burnt out, people, and you have to observe these people as well who talk, who are against us, against what we stand for. Because you know, another thing is people don't like certain brothers and sisters what stand for these injustices. That's why there's a lot of imposters on social media. There's a lot of imposters. Certain people want to post up an Amos Wilson book or Chancellor Willing. They want to post up certain books or Dr.
Yeah, I don't understand how they post up these.
They post up the books to try to make you believe that,
then be with something that's totally contrary to actually what the book is talking about.
Yeah, or even ask them, okay, so you post up that passage, so you read that passage and stuff, you understand what I'm saying? Rather than what you got we both described, why don't you just be honest and say you don't know? You understand what I'm saying? Right. But I'm posting this up because I'm, you know, but that's the fear factor, because everybody's trying to impress. You understand what I'm saying? Look, this ain't the 90s, man. this ain't the 90s, man. Colts, man. We need to stop that. I'm expecting that from a niece, nephew, daughter. I'm expecting that from a young child. But this is why we still suffer from arrested development. And that's why I have to break. That's why I'm coming to bring this presentation to the forefront.
Yeah. But we run out of time. We got 10 minutes left in the program. Anything y'all brothers want to get off before we log off?
I just wanted to say I appreciate you, brother Tad, and C Gutter for allowing me to come on the platform again. Yeah, I just appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to the event. You know, anyone who's tuned in, I will be presenting The Unspoken Truth Behind the Black Man's Abuse, which is a presentation which basically identifies Black men's mental health in the Western world and how it affects the Black family historically, politically, socially, and emotionally. So please, whatever state, it would be great to see you. I'm going to be in New York, I'm going to be in Texas, I'm going to be in Georgia, California, Tennessee, and possibly Detroit as well. So yeah, if you're nearby, come and check out the work I do, and yeah, let's build.
Yeah, and again, the address when he's in Brooklyn, that's June 30th. It'll be at 1396 Fulton Street, Nicholas Bookstore in Brooklyn, 1396 Fulton Street. The A train to Nostrand Avenue or the C train to Kingston and Troop will get you there. 2526 bus. I think the 44 goes that way. But again, the address is 1396 Fulton Street. You know, that's me and Gutter stomping grounds. Fulton is ours. Up and down.
Right? That's right by Restoration.
Yeah, that's at the Restoration. Yes, sir.
And yes, please, get your tickets in advance.
Yeah. You hear that?
He got it.
Please, please, no wahala. Just $20. That is all I'm asking for.
No doubt. Got anything you want to say before we sign out?
No, I appreciate the conversation we had, man. I love it. You know, Tad. You know what type of time I'm on. So I love having these type of conversations. You know what I mean? And
no doubt. I mean, these conversations are necessary because we have to. I think Black media, well, I know Black media is under attack, and we have to have these conversations. We have to make it accessible for our people to find this information. You know, some people may have never heard of Dr. Francis Cress Welsing except through this conversation, or Dr. Amos Wilson, or Dr. Claude. Some people may not know Mark Lamont Hill is a bootlicker and he doesn't have our interests at heart. You know, so we have to really put it down on the table. And this ain't really to call people out, but we gotta tell the truth if we're gonna get honest. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know him, but it's just like, because I watch him and a few other dudes because they do got some good points on other things.
Right. I used to watch him a lot too.
But it's when I hear certain things.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That hits your spirit off, right?
It's like when he say certain thing, like he's speaking to a Jewish dude and he's talking about them not being from Europe or whatever, and I'm like, but bro, that's where they from.
Right, the ones that he talked
the Ashkenazis.
Exactly.
Then on top of that, when you look like why because he never pushes back.
Right.
It's like, all right, you call yourself Ashkenazis, but in the Bible, Ashkenaz is from the tribe of Japhet. So you're not Semitic. You're Japhetic. If you're going by that, I don't go by these scriptures as anything. But
if that's their platform,
yeah, that's your platform. You're not Semitic.
Right. Yeah. But we can say this for another conversation because I definitely want to get some religious, some biblical scholars in here. So I'm working on that to get some folks in here that could really chop it up and dissect it for us. For those folks who was looking for our video last week of Irritated Jenny, we have to edit that, of course, and we may even have to edit this because YouTube only allows certain languages, certain words. So some of the words we use may get the videos flagged. So we got to edit them up, doctor them real nice, and make it pretty because, of course, they're trying to stifle our voices. So this is why it's important we do this so our folks have a place to come and get this information because we're going to have some more heavy.
They got to come and catch us live, man.
Yeah.
And catch us live, and then you'll get everything unedited.
That's right. That's right. So, family, hopefully y'all was inspired by something y'all heard here today, and it's your turn to go out and inspire others. So y'all stay up, stay blessed, stay true. We'll be back next week at 2 p.m. for the OG Wisdom Podcast. Your brother Taz signing out. Thank our brother Suraj coming through. I want to thank Magnetic Tyson, Sister K Fighter, always my sister Farnessa. We want to thank everybody who tuned in today, whether you spoke in the comments or not. We want to, there was somebody I missed, Hip Hop Movie Prime. Salute to you. All right. Thank everybody tuned in.
Across the pond.
That's right. Everybody in the UK. Salute them. So like, subscribe, and share. Tell a friend and tell a friend. We back again. We back at it like crack addicts. All right, let's get these numbers up. Get this information out there. Peace.
Peace.